This is Art Dust with Glenda Gibson.
Oh, sorry. And Donna Drouin.
The yawning Donna Drouin.
Sorry. I went to say my name and a yawn came out. And it was like, oh.
So what is your name?
It's there. It's written down. It's Donna Drouin.
Donna Drouin. Right. So this is Art Dust with Glenda Gibson and Donna Drouin. And
Hello.
we're talking to you today about crit groups. You might not actually know what that means, but the crit stands for criticism, critical
thinking.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
So, last year, Donna and I are part of a crit group, and I started them up, really, didn't I? But
you did.
Yeah. And the reason I did that was that last year we did a course called Making It through Leaf College of Art. Is that it?
School of Art.
School of Art. Oh, I knew
School
I
of
get it
Art.
wrong. Leaf School of the Art.
It's based in Edinburgh.
It's based in Edinburgh. And Ali Gordon taught that course. And one of the things he said was that one of the most valuable things for him and a lot of people, a lot of art students, is the once a week crit group, where they would sit around looking at what work they had done and make comments about the work, what they liked, what they didn't like, but more importantly, what they thought from their artistic and academic point of view was working and not working, and perhaps even ask the artist questions that would lead them to develop their work. Now, the thought that somebody's going to look at my work and go, oh, that's a bit yuck, or
don't
surely
like that colour,
you can do that, or in Donna's case, the ears are wrong. The time she came in and said to my painting, all the ears are in the wrong place. I took those ears out 3 times.
Glenda was going to be, I'm really struggling with post painting, and I went, the ears are in the wrong place, and she was like, she must have moved the jaw, and I could see there was and it was the ear. I was like, no, the ear, you haven't. It's that rule of it's the angle of the head with the ear. I remember that painting. It was a baby painting as well, so it's not like
it was oil, so it was quite easy to remove the paint and do it. But I felt inferior. Because Donna's got a very good eye, and also the reality is sometimes with my paintings I'll come back to them the next day or in 3 years' time and go, oh yeah
I did that bit there. That's the bit that's wrong. That's why this painting has never sold or doesn't work. That bit there's
the composition is way off or something. So we can critically think about our own work, and we should, and that's one of the reasons I love to have my work sitting around in my gallery drying usually, because I sit and look at it for a long time, or I take a photograph of it on my phone and take it to the noir setting, black and white setting, so I can see the underlying tonal composition balance. That's another way of looking at your work and getting to understand it.
Because sometimes when you do that black and white photograph thing, it's that thing of understanding that you need to have brightness and darkness in a painting for it to be interesting for someone to look at. If it's all just if you take a black and white photograph and it's all just grey, it's like, well, that's why the painting's not working, even though it may be all really lovely colours. But if the painting colour comes off as grey, it's like, well, that's why, because it's actually not got, your brain sees it, but you might not see it.
Yeah. So I use a very bright pink, which seems to leap out of the canvas, but actually it's quite dark. It's quite a dark tone, and you don't see that until you do it in black and white. We're talking about this as if it's not an opinion thing. There's scientific research that shows that we are attracted to high contrasts. So those things are important. If you want somebody to be attracted to your painting, you need that high contrast. But that is a whole nother podcast, Donna. Where are we going with this?
I don't know.
Right. So Ali said, you know, it's great to have this crit group. And so I sort of sent him a message and said, do you think I could ask if there's anybody interested from this group that we're in, this art group that we were part of, learning?
Yeah, because this art group, there was a mixture of people who were actually students at the time and those who had just graduated, to those who were like us, who were floundering around in what felt like, well, where are we? What are we doing? Yeah. How does this work?
Or having never had any tertiary education in art like I haven't. Oh, well, I've had that now, haven't I? That's tertiary.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I thought I'd have a go at seeing if I could get a crit group going. And a few people were interested. But by the end of the course, there were about 10 or so people, I think.
Yeah.
And one of them is in California. So I lead an evening crit group so that she can join in. It's about midday for her and 8 o'clock at night for us. And there's only 3 of us in the evening crit group, me and a lady from California and a lady close to Edinburgh, actually. She's there. That's my crit group. The crit group that Donna's a part of, she's not the facilitator. I've asked a retired teacher to be a facilitator. She and her husband, who were up in Scotland, and a wonderful other graduate. She's done a master's degree. Where's she from? Canterbury.
Yeah.
And Donna from here in the middle. Oh, and there occasionally you have another person, don't you?
Yeah. He can't always. His internet is really bad, so sometimes he can and sometimes he can't. But he lives in Norway or Finland. I can't remember. Is it Finland? Actually, no, it's Finland. It's Finland. He lives in Finland.
Yeah.
So he often talks about Yeah. I was thinking, is it the same as my friend or is it different? No, it's the same as my other friend. But yeah, so, he goes into Turku.
So these crit groups, we do them over Zoom. I have a paid for Zoom account, and so I've set up the Zoom accounts so that they can be used by the 2 crit groups. I'm very sneaky. I sit in and listen in to the first crit group because I get so much out of listening to what these people do. So do you want to talk a bit about that morning crit group, Donna?
Yeah. So we it's a group of people who are just we're a mixture of painters, makers. We all have a love of poetry as well and word, and so we often will share. We don't just share our whatever artwork we're doing. We also share our poetry, books we've discovered. So it's become like a group that where we share our artwork and we'll go, oh, actually, might not be, or have you looked at, and we'll recommend artists to other people, like, or have you looked at the work of, or your work is a bit like, or have you looked at what they, so on exhibitions we go to, see, it's kind of like a general sort of, but we have it. So like the next one is, we're actually at the moment what we're doing, because to understand where each of us, because we've realized the first couple of sessions we were just kind of going, oh yeah, I've read this book and this book, and but now we're discovering who we are and how we've got to where we are. So we're kind of doing this presentation each month. We're just doing it once a month. So actually the next one is mine. And I haven't finished making it all together yet. I've got to borrow Glenda's brain for a minute. But yeah, I've got to do a presentation thing. And we're showing the route of how we've got to where we are now. Because that actually, for one of the members, he didn't realise he was putting in the in his artwork there was this pair of columns, and you could see it in virtually every single piece of work, and he hadn't realized he was doing it, and then he realized that was actually from his. We're going, that's the painting. You're basically painting the place where you were born, because that building no longer exists. And he'd just been putting in these columns, and from everything from a clocks he'd made to his paintings to his automata to photographs to 3D models, there was this pair of columns, and they were on the original building he was born in. But it was one of these things, and you don't realize that this is what you're doing. Yeah, and also like talking about how so that now we've kind of got this basis of, okay, so this is where the group has come from, and what and actually being able to encourage each other and their steps forward, and also we've been discussing like opportunities, and one lady's very into getting self-publishing, so she's been doing her own books, and she's been sharing the books that she's been making and what ones she's working on, and she makes tiny books. And yeah, we all have a love of nature, which has bonded the group together, which is really, you know, the mixture of poetry and love of nature has been really important to us all. So yeah, but it's been really good because we have helped kind of encourage each other, and also I think we're still forming that sense of being able to be secure enough to say perhaps something or that didn't work. Yeah, we're not quite, we're almost at that point, but I think that takes time. That takes that strength of knowing each other enough to be able to go, yeah, that why have you done that? What can you tell me about this bit here, please? And you know, and then somebody will say, well, actually it was, yeah,
it's a lovely group to listen in on, and I have a look at the works of art as well, and I'm just astonished by some of the works that have been created, and it's really a valuable thing. But I think you are making more specific comments now. I think the trust is really built up within the group, and that's probably a part of a crit group, just not walking in and having people say this and that. I used to be a part of the local art group here, and we'd have crit nights, and it happened just before a show, and I remember taking in a few different paintings, and one of them was quite abstract. It was a nude, but it was quite abstract, and the guy out the front just circled the breast and says, I like this bit here, you know, just completely inappropriate and not anything to do with art. So you have, I mean, he was probably just having a joke. He was a very good painter. But he also said about, I'd painted a hill with, and straight a row across the top of the hill of autumn trees and the leaves falling down. He says, well, trees are never like that, sitting on the top of a hill. And, you know, just brushed it aside. And I thought, well, somebody came up to me after, he says, no, I've seen that. I've seen hills with trees like that across the top of the hill. But I'm quite abstract anyway. I don't think they quite got me very well in that group. So, but what I'm saying is sometimes you just make a comment, and especially if it's a new artist, it can just really be a bit crushing and a bit throw them. Might be better to ask why. I did a painting of a green line of Judah, and I did it green on purpose, and I did it live in the group, and in acrylics, not oils, because so I can't take oils anyway, I'm too messy. And one of the guys came up to me at the end of the thing and said, oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing this when it's finished. And I'm thinking, it's finished? But he's got a draftsman background, and so he's very precise and things like that. So, but I love some of the comments you're making and in that group, and some of the paintings I
Yeah.
look at, I thought, well, why would you paint a staircase with a window halfway up the staircase?
Oh, that painting.
However, the more I looked at it,
Yeah.
the more I got from it, and what he had left out, because he told us
Yeah.
about what was that had actually been there.
Yeah, and he'd made those decisions about leaving things out. No, he said, oh, I've really struggled with the stairs. He said, the more I worked on it, the worse it got. And you could see that he's kind of, but the light falling on the stairs was absolutely beautiful. And that's what had really drawn him to doing that corner. And he said, oh yeah, there was a load of stuff and things, but it's that thing of understanding. You don't have to paint exactly everything that you see, but to get that rhythm of the fall of the light coming down and all the colours, it was a very difficult thing to paint, but it was really beautiful.
It was, and somebody mentioned the mystery of what was up the stairs and you couldn't see what was under the stairs either. That was sort of in darkness.
Yeah, and he changed the view through the window as well, because the window looked out onto something else, and he was like, no, I want it to look out onto this. So he's made lots of decisions, and I think when you have a crit group and you have the opportunity to explain a painting of why you're doing what you're doing, and then if somebody it's that thing of it's almost like a rehearsal, because then when you then exhibit your works, it gives you the confidence. You think, oh yeah, I've spoken about this before, and I know I can talk about this, or I can talk about, there is a
And sometimes it's not until you talk about your work that you really understand what you've done anyway.
Yeah.
That
it makes you think about, why did I paint this?
Yeah.
Or why did I draw this? Or why am I painting these birds?
What is my intention? What is my art for this sort of work? Yeah.
Where is this work going? Yeah. And sometimes you really need those kind of, well, where are you going with this? Why is this important to you? Or you sit down and think about why the work is important to you. And you can read lots and lots of books about why other people have painted those things or drawn those things, but actually when it comes to you, you've got to be like, well, actually, why am I painting this? I seem to have a bit of an obsession at the moment. What is it? Yeah
Well, my little group at night, the interesting thing is that we're very different artists. There's a hyper-realist, and then a person that paints more abstractly, but quite symbolically and representationally so that they're not colours I would paint in. So that's been an interesting challenge for me to look at work that isn't my style, but to understand what they're doing and where they're coming from, and to value it in the way that they're trying to present it.
Yeah.
And that's been a really interesting journey.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that in my group that anyone, we paint the same, we have the love for the same subject matter, but actually what we paint and depict and how we depict it is very, very different. There's no two painters or people in the group who we couldn't say, oh yes, this group are all exactly the same, because we're not. Very different. Yeah.
It's been good for me to rub shoulders with people that paint in a different way, and to understand why they paint that way, and why it's important to them to draw things, very realistically, because I don't want to do that. I have a camera, but it's not that sort of realistic.
No.
It's not a photographic realism. It's a different thing. So it develops my thinking and helps me to question my work coming up against other people and what they're doing. It's really valuable.
Yeah, and
be a
also
part of that group.
crit groups are really great because we're actually forming a relationship. So there's you're forming a like your own little miniature network of people that you're expanding. But also I wanted to talk about peer reviews and the fact that there are, you can if you subscribe to Leicestershire County Council do a part of a network, and so lots of each council in the UK has got their own kind of flavour of how they support artists in the creative fields in their county. But I can't remember who it came through now. Can you remember the organisation the peer review came through? Because you sent me the email. It was something different, wasn't it? It wasn't Leicestershire County Council. It wasn't there. It was.
No.
I think it might have been East Midlands Network thing. Actually, is it?
Yeah, I think it's broader. Yeah.
Yeah, they held peer reviews, portfolio reviews. So you could take your portfolio, and you had to pick one of 4 people who were working in like either a museum, gallery. They were curators or artists in their own right. They're all artists in their own right making things. So I asked to see, and you booked a slot, and then you went, and I went to Leicester Museum, and I was a little bit intimidated because I was like, oh, this is a like a proper thing. I'm doing a proper thing. And you had to take 10 to 15 pieces of work, and then they said there was a size restriction because of the size of the easels and stuff they had, and that was fine. And so I took a selection of my work, and it was interesting what the things was that there were things in a peer review that I did not expect. I didn't expect that I would have to ask the questions. Like, what do you want to find out? And I'm like, I don't know. What do I want to find out? What? I was like, I said, well, I really need another set of eyes to see my work. I really wanted to have a fresh look at somebody else to look at my work. And what would you like? Is there a network? Like I was asking professional level questions like is there a gallery network or like a gallery you would recommend me to go and have a look at? Like, if you look at my work, would you say, oh yes, this place would be good? And actually that wasn't part of the question. And it was really lovely. He actually said, well, actually, I'm in the same boat. He's a printmaker as well. And he said, no, not you. You just have to you just have to explore, which was, you just have to go to galleries yourself and work out which ones you actually will fit into. You have to find where your voice fits into the marketplace. So that was kind of like, oh, okay, that's fine. That was a 5-second conversation. But he then went through all my books, and he was like going, this is like, we talked about energy and mark making, and we talked about like, how do I generate the marks? And he encouraged me no end, because he was like going, he said it's really hard when you live somewhere and you're just seeing people doing pretty paintings of their village church a lot of the time, or that all pets and animals, because that's what your local market wants. But he said, when you're working outside of that, and you're pursuing something that's other, and you're pursuing a level of truth in your work that's the things you see and it excite you in like the landscape. And he encouraged me to continue to pursue that level of finding marks that are original and different to put in, because he said these are all, it was really lovely, but it was really interesting to kind of go to that, have that experience of going to it made me really think, oh, like, only 10 pieces. Oh, okay, what 10 pieces? And I thought, well, if I take a sketchbook, does that count as one piece or too many pieces? I had all these like overthinking thoughts, but yeah. It was really good. It was very encouraging, and it was really lovely to have someone to be so positive. It goes, this is really good. Yeah. This is, you want to take this and go here and do that and put this together, and to actually have someone for half an hour. It was like, when you used to go see your tutor at university.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful opportunity. I was in Australia, so I didn't get a chance to do it. So no. I'm looking for the next opportunity to do that, because these people are working in the industry, and they look at your work a different way. I guess that's it. I guess having somebody look at your work a different way and see things in it. You do get a bit of that feedback when you exhibit. People come and say things about your work, and often it's quite surprising what people say about your work.
Yeah.
But when a professional artist or somebody with an art's eye looks at your work, it's a bit different. It's good
It
feedback.
is. And
But
also
that's the sort of feedback you want.
They also use a professional language, which is really funny.
Yes. I have a really supportive husband with my artwork, but I think he hoped that I would paint the Haywain like Gainsborough. And my work has become more and more abstract and very, very bright.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really comment. He knows not to make too many comments about my work.
Oh, yeah.
Which is completely fine.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he's not my audience. You know,
No.
you find your own audience. You like what you like, and then you find the people that like that too, and that's how finding an audience works.
Yeah.
But even, you know, you can still get better at what you do.
You can refine it.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So,
yes, having someone, somebody said to me, well, what, I do an annual review of my work, so do you? And I know that I can sit there and go, well, you know, I really like this and this and this and this. But then going to a crit group or a peer review, they can go, actually, if you take this and this, or this and this, and it's putting things together, your work can grow in a new and fresh way that perhaps you didn't expect. Yeah. So I think we're finished.
I think we are finished. So if you can get yourself into a crit group, that would be, if you want to. I mean, you don't have to. You can just paint yourself and like what you like.
You can do it with a group of friends. Like if you've got friends who you know are really that and they understand that, you know, you've already formed a group of friends and you've got and you go, well, actually, shall we have a crit group? Shall we do a thing where we bring our portfolios together? I think it's invaluable because it really does give you a fresh set of eyes. People go, oh, I see you're doing this. Oh, that's really great. Oh, yeah, do that. Yeah.
Yes, and it's good, as Donna said earlier, to just talk about your work with somebody. And as you talk about your work with other things, you see the gaps and the things that you could extend on. So it's really valuable to do it from that point of view as well, just to be able to talk about your work, get the language, as Donna said.
Yes.
Well, I think that's us. If you want to find out about the other things that we do as a part of This Beautiful Dust, then you can find us on Facebook. If you search This Beautiful Dust, you'll find our Facebook group, and we put things, or Donna, it's actually Donna that handles the Facebook group. She puts up the things that are happening, like the exhibition. Well, actually, I have an exhibition coming up.
You do?
I do, in end of July. And but we've got a retreat that we run at Rosie's. We've got Kingstock coming up as well. But
and we've also got the Kids Art Club that we run during
so if you're local to Bottisford in Leicestershire, there's two Bottisford. We have to say it Leicestershire.
Yes, not the one that's in Lincolnshire. Scunthorpe Way.
Not that one. No. We're the one in Leicestershire, just outside of Grantham. We have art classes on Wednesdays during the summer. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with us. My email and our web pages and things are in the description part of this, where I haven't worked out how to make things live yet, but I'm working on that. So that there's
Yeah.
information in there if you want to connect in with us some way, or just to talk to us about groups or that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. We're always open to help in any way. That's actually why we do this, so
Yeah.
that we can help people. But I'm really enjoying talking about my stuff. Now I'm over being terrified.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm really enjoying
Yes.
this podcast. So I
Yeah.
hope you are too, and we'll see you in the next one.
Okay.